As June draws near, Tottenham fans are forced to endure another year of waiting to break their trophy drought. Spurs kick off each season with 3 domestic competitions under their belt, and they consistently find themselves in European competitions as well. Yet despite these abundant opportunities to compete, the last trophy came just over 15 years ago when they defeated Chelsea 2-1, clinching the League Cup. What adds to the frustration of many supporters during this era is the fact that Spurs haven't spent the past decades languishing in the lower ranks. We're witnessing a time of increasing financial disparities, and Tottenham finds itself positioned quite close to the top. So what exactly is happening at Tottenham? Why do they struggle to claim silverware? And where is the club headed? Before delving into these intriguing questions, I kindly encourage you to subscribe to our channel, as it would greatly support our work. Over the past few years, Tottenham Hotspur has experienced numerous moments that seem to indicate they were hitting rock bottom in a miserable fashion. There were the defeats against Bayern Munich and Brighton and Hove Albion, which signalled the end of the Mauricio Pochettino era. The 3-0 loss to Dinamo Zagreb, whose manager had just been sent to prison, occurred a month before Jose Mourinho was sacked. Each of Nuno Espirito Santo's 5 league defeats, especially the 3-1 loss to Arsenal or the 3-0 defeat to Manchester United, contributed to his downfall. Away matches against Burnley, Leicester City and Sheffield United showcased a lack of effort in this season's FA Cup. However, none of these moments compare to the recent defeat against Newcastle. During the first half of that match, Newcastle United scored 5 goals, resulting in arguably the worst extended sequence of football ever witnessed by a Premier League team. It was a complete absence of effort from a team that seemed to have no direction, perfectly encapsulating the state of a club without a manager and lacking a clear sense of purpose. For weeks now, it's become painfully apparent that Tottenham's hanging on by a thread. There's a glaring absence of spirit, confidence, unity, character, passion, and plan. We've witnessed fleeting glimpses of this disintegration, hinting at a terrifying truth. The final 15 minutes at Southampton just over a month ago, the last 20 minutes at Everton in the subsequent game, and even longer stretches in the following matches against Brighton and Bournemouth. It's only natural for fans to point fingers at the players, and it's hard to argue against their sentiments. The players couldn't have made it any easier for Newcastle. They were constantly one step behind in every tackle and failed to seize any loose ball. It was as if they were actively avoiding challenges, fearful of getting injured. We could spend the whole day discussing the monumental character failure displayed by these players, who've once again let down the football club in a grievous manner. However, let's not forget the larger context at play here. It would be easy to lay blame on Stellini for deploying a flawed 4-3-3 formation with a backline consisting of 3 or possibly even 4 defenders ill-suited for such a system. Clearly, the Stellini mini-era has proven to be a disappointment. Nevertheless, we must acknowledge that Stellini inherited a set of problems that are beyond his capacity to fix. He took charge of a group of players whose confidence had been completely shattered during the Conte era. Here, he attempted to introduce a different style of play, pushing them into unfamiliar territory, only for the engine to blow up in his face. These players have forgotten how to be proactive, how to press high up the pitch, and even how to think independently. Blaming it all solely on Stellini would be unjust. So if we take a step back, we can attribute a portion of this disaster to Conte himself. He imposed a rigid playing style, creating a psychological dependency on the 3-4-3 formation and a deep defensive approach. He fostered such obedience to his tactics that the players lost their ability to take individual responsibility. In the end, he ruthlessly eroded their confidence, a process that will take months to recover from. None of this analysis is incorrect, and yet it only tells half the story. You see, Conte was brought in as a man expected to deliver immediate success, but he wasn't provided with all the necessary tools to accomplish that. He managed to secure a 4th place finish for Tottenham last season, completing half of the job. However, when performances started to crumble and confidence began to dwindle in the current season, Conte appeared unwilling or unable to rectify the situation. While he certainly deserves a share of the blame, it would be unfair to lay it all at his feet. To truly grasp the extent of blame, failures and responsibility, it's necessary to take one final step back and examine where the true power resides. When it comes down to it, everything at Tottenham circles back to Daniel Levy. It's not just the haphazard appointment of Stellini that has effectively dashed any hopes of a new manager injecting life into the team's pursuit of a top 4 finish. It's not just the ill-fated gamble on Conte, marking the second time in 2 years that Levy was swayed by the allure of hiring a high-profile manager, conveniently forgetting the very essence of what made Tottenham successful in the first place. It's not just the years of botched recruitment, the failure to offload players Pochettino wanted gone, the delayed squad revamp that arrived too late, or the inadequate support provided to Mourinho and later Conte, culminating in the chaotic tenure of Fabio Paratici, whose forced resignation this week adds yet another layer of calamity and absurdity to an already disastrous season. No, what Levy truly needs to answer for is the staggering absence of anything remotely resembling a football strategy. It's been 4 long years since that exhilarating spring when Spurs unveiled their new stadium and reached the pinnacle of the Champions League final. However, since then, they've had absolutely nothing to show for it. When it comes to off-pitch strategy, there's no denying the remarkable success of Tottenham's last few years. The multi-purpose stadium is amazing and brings in a lot of money. The commercial revenue will effectively compensate for the lack of the Champions League. Daniel Levy deserves credit for that. But when it comes to what happens on the field, it's a different story. The football strategy is basically non-existent and bordering on amateurish. Every major decision has backfired. The only common thread running through it all is Levy's longing for Tottenham to mimic the behaviour of a big club rather than engage in serious contemplation about what it truly takes to achieve success. A few weeks after the defeat at St James's Park, it seemed like we were in for another refound. As sluggish as Tottenham's start was, and trust me, there are snails in races that burst out of the blocks faster than Spurs did at Merseyside, they eventually managed to regain some composure and, all things considered, put in a recently decent performance away from home. They even mounted a comeback, only to have Lucas Moura hand the ball to Diogo Jota, who ruthlessly punished their mistakes. Whether it's naivete, a crisis of confidence, or the lingering influence of an ancient curse upon the very ground of their stadium, whatever the underlying cause may be, this Spurs squad simply lacks the ability to hold on to advantageous positions in football matches. And no matter how you slice it, that's a significant problem. With Tottenham, it's no longer enough to hope for a quick fix through a few new player signings. If they genuinely want to break free from this relentless cycle of heartbreaking disappointment and agonisingly close misses, they must undergo a profound transformation in their mindset and club culture. Tottenham may have a few Premier League games left this season, but the minds of many supporters are already focused on the next one. The upcoming head coach will have the task of making new signings a top priority, but there will also be crucial decisions to be made regarding which players to keep and which to let go. In terms of squad building, Spurs find themselves in an intriguing position as they're likely to transition to a different formation. This means they'll now need 2 starting centre-backs instead of 3 and will require full-backs instead of wing-backs. Another factor adding to the complexity is the uncertainty of their European status for next season. Whether or not Spurs secure a European spot will impact the size of the squad they require. Without European competitions, having an excessively large squad could be counterproductive, as fringe players would only have domestic cups to prove their worth. However, there's no guarantee that Spurs will make significant progress in those tournaments either. Furthermore, Spurs have a multitude of senior players returning from loan spells, all facing uncertain futures, which could lead to an overcrowded squad. This, combined with muddled squad building in certain areas, leaves Tottenham with an excess of players in some positions and a shortage in others. The team is entering a transitional phase, with key players such as Lloris, Dyer and Kane entering the final year of their contracts. Additionally, the lack of suitable left-sided centre-backs remains a pressing issue, and most of their current defenders are better suited to playing in a back 3 rather than a back 4. However, it's difficult to envision a new head coach adopting the 3 at the back system due to the squad's makeup. All signs point to yet another summer rebuild for Tottenham, marking the 5th consecutive one under different head coaches. This constant upheaval contributes to the disjointed nature of the squad. A new head coach and director of football with a shared vision can't arrive soon enough to bring much needed stability and clarity to the club's future. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation. Do you agree with our analysis? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this video informative and engaging, we kindly ask you to leave a like and consider subscribing for more content.